Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 47 of Egginburgh, our 6.2 launch day, but we're having a wonderful day. You joined me at something of an emergency in Yorkshire, our British part of the city, which we will be expanding today. I'd like to spend today's episode playing with the idea of the Great British Council Estate, rather than the Great British Bake Off. So these things well, in some cases were social housing for the UK government and still remain some to this day. Others have been kind of sold as private homes now, etc. But back in the day, a lot of working towns, especially a lot of mining towns, would have rows of terraced homes. And then later on in the 70s, or I guess 60s, 70s and 80s, these tower blocks were built around a lot of UK cities, which will be taking inspiration from today. The estate we happen to be looking at on screen is from Glasgow. I'm not sure of the exact name. I can't find a marker of it. But we're right in Glasgow city centre here. I'm sure Editing Egg may be able to find a bit more information for us. So we have a bit of land over here from where we left off this build last episode, as our UK part of the map continues to develop out these spaces here. And I'd like to start positioning some of our towers between here and then building the estate up to that main road, I think. Let's bring in a road to run parallel with the rail here, and probably we'll take this straight down toward the road, I reckon. Let's also get a bit of sloping on here too. We are on some slightly uneven terrain today, but then that'll help the build, in all honesty, once we start working with this landscape here. A bit of a soften too. Much more sensible gradient through this way now. We help with our building placement as well. So let's bring this straight down onto the arterial. Just 180 degrees is absolutely fine. And that should be wonderful. Now I know some of the assets I want to use in particular, which is going to be for our buildings. We'll come into just UK stuff. Let's also expand our interface here as well. Now we can filter here for flats, which is really what I'm wanting to use. Now let's, for example, go with some of these. Is there a major difference between kind of 1 and 5? There is in that instance. We're getting a few extra floors, aren't we? I think we'll go with the extra floors one instead. I suppose that's, maybe we could use actually a bit of a mix and match, might be quite nice. Cool. So let's set up some roads for these sorts of buildings. So again, taking inspiration from how they're arranged on Google Earth, I want to have a look at some of the new parking roads which have been added recently. And I think alley with 90-degree parking. Maybe even do a custom alleyway here as well. It's the one we're using Kokai, I think, isn't it? So let's start combining some of these parking roads here. I think I'm probably going to go with the one-way perpendicular alley parking, I think. And I don't want to use the parking roads everywhere, but I do want to use them in some probably quite unusual configurations, I think. It doesn't come down there. We've also got a one-way alley there as well. Let's do that one. Mix and match them single-sided. Might even downgrade this one into single-sided actually. And let's flip back toward our normal roads. Bring that one back down in. Happy with that, I think. Maybe one more up that way. Maybe change this one into a wider road while we're not having the end on. And then let's come back out of it here. That's going to give us a pretty interesting road shape, right? So let's come ahead now and grab our buildings over here. And let's just say, well, let's be pretty much straight against these roads. Something like that should be pretty well. Then we can find essentially tons of different little combinations that will work for these. Fuse them together in different styles. I've got a few of them. Let's maybe have a whole row of taller buildings here. We'll see how well they kind of sit on the corner together. Now there's loads of different variations of these as well. If you filter for flats and find it, you'll just get tons of these perfect buildings, which again, just whilst we're on the subject, these are so well put together. So like this, I've seen all this kind of stuff in the UK before, of course, actually living here. But it's the attention of sort of detail they've gone to with some of these buildings is pretty insane. Massive shout out to the creators that did this, Matt Welshman, of course. Rick, absolute heroes of the CS community. I'd probably say the UK pack has been my favourite so far, I think, of all the creator packs. Really, really sweet. Let's not open dev mode. That's not what I wanted to do. I just need to turn that off now. I never use it anymore. And I think we'll get some trees in here as well. Let's come to mix of young and medium. Should we turn off our snap to surface too? Right. They're very tasty. So I think there's so many different configurations of these UK housing estates as well. So you can just do tons of different little combinations. But I'm very much looking forward to just slowly piecing today's build together like that. Let's go into parks as well. I reckon some of the new cute little tiny parks would actually be more than welcome for little estates like this. I think if we drag that one up toward the middle, and then let's just amend those surface spaces with our extra detailing tools. If we can find them here, let's go ahead and just bring these out. Go ahead and turn off snapping as well. We'll do it ourselves. And they're going to be fantastic little space fillers for our estate. I think those new tiny parks. Absolutely you'd stumble across something like that. Now driving past it. So as the car parks come to an end as the buildings enclose around them, I think I'd like to switch up to the small pedestrian street, which for some stupid reason acts as a one-way road, which gives you annoying kind of broken network symbols at the end. Don't know why it's a one-way road, but we'll bypass that. I just kind of want this to run through the estate, so it's not all cars, essentially. Cool, so I'm happy with that. So, kind of the skyline, if you like, of the Great British Housing Estate is going to be made up of those big tall ones. So again, we can filter our search down for flats with the UK stuff. I guess it's very dependent on which one I want here. I would like some tall ones, so I think we'll go with probably some of the level 5s are best for what we're after here. I think we'll go with some of the 5s. Now let's position these here. I'm going to bring in some of this more pedestrianised road frame network again to peel off in different directions. And I think we'll have these larger flats on these pedestrian roads as well. And we'll probably maybe go for, can we say 4? Is that going to be too much perhaps? We'll have another one here. And then let's do another one a little bit further down this way. And then we'll link some further parking roads back into this as well as the estate comes to a close, I think. So this is perfect. This is really what we're seeing on Google Earth here. Now to address the backs of these buildings, because they do actually have kind of elements to them. There's doors on them and windows, kind of a courtyard you would expect to be able to access, I think. Let's go ahead and grab one of these over here. And we'll just move it up to something about there. Then I think we'll actually come in with a little bit of path network. Now, if we just start with angle and side to building, how does this behave around here? Yeah, that's actually going to be perfect. And then we'll just have these run around to the connecting pedestrian roads. And we should be able to create just a really cute, authentic estate here. Get some kind of custom play parks in as well during our detailing time. That's when we start messing about with some props. And I think just some further trees to complement too. Again, coming back to those small parks that we referenced as well, I would actually like the little vanilla small playground. Yeah, that one's perfect. Absolutely delicious, yeah. Let's kind of centralise that a bit if we can. Perfect. That's really coming together already. I wouldn't mind perhaps addressing some texture on the roads. That's not totally out of the question of something you would see on a housing estate like this, kind of a tile or kind of cobble sort of design. So I think I'd be happy to leave it in for the time being anyway. We'll kind of see what happens with it. So a council estate wouldn't be complete without some local shops. Absolutely not. So I'd love to include some of these in as well. Of which I think we can use some of the UK mixed-use assets, and we can also probably get away with a bit of Japanese asset in there as well, because some of them are quite sort of the vibe I'm trying to create today. So let's bring in an alleyway, and we'll have this just cut straight across the pedestrian street. So I kind of want the commercial to face out into this little square here. So let's bring a road right up behind the building there. That should be pretty sensible. And then let's find ourselves some UK stuff. Yeah, UK mixed suburban shops is essentially the perfect asset for this, actually. And do you want to bring in... These terrace houses are definitely something you see on estates, but it's a bit of a clash here. We will do a bit of them today, because I think we'll take a look at the classic British estate then. Kind of a terrace estate absolutely needs to be included. So let's move these up a little bit. Let's push them up onto the corner. We might be able to hit same height. We'll see what happens. Should be pretty easy to fuse. I wouldn't mind adding in an additional node if it means we can straighten off the heights here. Let's set that to the same height as the building. Put this extra piece down here. And then I reckon we'll probably do some nice kind of car parks, I think, behind the shops here. Let's come off. I'll find it screen. Wait, these. Then let's come in using the little parking roads that we're so fond of. Let's use the road builder road we made in Kokai, which is alleyway parking. Let's just have that there, I think. And then there's plenty of texture to extend around here, of course. Let's come in with... we'll stick with our European pavement texture while we're working in and against roads. Let's pull this down. Let's fill out any green where we don't want to here. Cool, some textures, some props will go really nicely at the back of these kind of buildings as well. Let's go ahead into our park props here and maybe add a few homeless tents if we like. Add a couple of these in. Love how finally the CS homeless bug seems to have been fixed, and then we spend our detailing putting homeless tents back in. Of course. What else? Let's add some bins around the back of here as well. A little bit of terrain mentalness here, isn't there? Although I reckon we can probably amend that now. There we go. That's a little bit neater, isn't it? With the terraforming there. Yeah, and absolutely you would find a fence behind these kind of shops as well. So let's go even further with our detailing. Let's go ahead and grab a net lane. Immediately, I'm probably drawn to chain link fencing, just because it's a pretty common sight in the UK, to be honest. And then we'll just have little fenced off entrances areas for at the back of the shops here. And the fencing will also help add to our council estate vibe as well, I think. Also now we can have shops in and amongst the tower blocks, right? Even that already, right? It's just, that's so UK. These assets are incredible. They're really, really cool. I think eventually we will get around. Oh, wait, I've never noticed the Pizza Hut. Is it Pizza Hut? I've never noticed that before. Pizza Hut is very clever. That's really cool. But yeah, we can start to picture our UK housing estate coming together here, can't we? A pretty common thing to find in the UK is kind of AstroTurf pitches, places where the more sport-aligned people of the area will rent out for their birthday, play a five-a-side with friends. There's usually some kind of sports and rec facilities on it as well, gyms and whatnot, physiotherapists. Something you tend to find really commonly across UK suburbs. Let's go ahead and just sort this slope out as well. So I think some of the UK pitches, or the general football pitches, will also be very welcome in here as well. I'm just going to slope out this land here a little bit. I'm not liking quite how the road is sitting with it being a bit lumpy, so I just want to help the terrain. Then we'll swap back into that national road there too. And in terms of other road connections, I'd just like to take a second before we carry on with the build. Is to just see if we can add in some extra connections. That's straight down into that connection there. Looks pretty tasty, doesn't it? I'm already liking how it's looking from the main road here as well, although that train bridge is a little bit low, isn't it? Or just that today too. So I think I've actually come across some of the larger flats of an asset I prefer a little bit more, I think. So I think we're going to switch them out. These are the 6x3 ones that hold 126 people. So they should be alright, I think. They're a little bit smaller, but they're slightly wider as well, maybe a tile wider. But I really do like them. I think they're quite nice. Cool. So continuing to take inspiration from our Scottish council estate, which isn't really something I thought I would be saying on this YouTube channel. Let's come ahead and grab ourselves some more of the parking roads. And we'll do just some short little stretches here. Let's see what we want to do. Which road is this? This is perfect. Actually, I think, do we prefer the alleyway parking or the road parking? I think the road parking's a bit more. Then again, you do get this kind of pavement divider on this road, which is quite nice, actually. I think we'll switch up to these for a little bit. I'm probably overthinking it again, as usual. So with this, I'd like to create some little installments. Where do we want them to sit within the grander estate? Let's turn on our view here. So I think, obviously, we'll have a connection, obviously coming out of here, because we will have this connect to the road, like so. And then we'll grab that parking road that we want, which is this one. And then I just want to do little, we say 40-meter installments, and I want quite a few of these along here. I guess actually we'll decide how wide they're going to be once we've found our asset. So I know there's another kind of classification. It's not these kind of flats, they're a little bit taller. More these sorts of ones. So medium flats, I really want anything that's by 2 is kind of the vibe we're running with here, I think. How about 2 of these? And again, let's manipulate them over here. And we'll probably fuse these together. Then they do have the gates on them, don't they? Which I actually don't mind. That gives us, I guess, some alleyway detail and opportunity, so I think we won't fuse these ones. We'll keep them as they are. I like that. Let's go ahead and throw in 2 more this side as well, and we'll get them positioned in. I essentially want to keep repeating this pattern all the way down the road. A lot of the times you find these kind of really heavily repeated designs in these kind of estates. So I think with the repetition of the pattern, we'll leave 3 tiles in between. Then we can also do that over here as well. The next one will be that one. And then the last one will be there too. Yeah, so let's get all of these houses. Do you want to keep using the same asset for this? We could do. Again, repeated patterns are pretty common. But there is at least a few variations of this type of asset. Could also go for these ones as well. Maybe toward the end of them perhaps, but those ones do come with car parking and since I'm placing my own. We'll probably get away with using some slightly different assets maybe. So let's do some different ones around here. Making sure we don't place them on the roads. And then let's grab these 2 again. And we can put them in there. Love to know for the British viewers if you have any council estate inspiration for the comments. I'm sure people that are looking to perform a similar build will always appreciate some Google Earth shoutouts. So let's come to angle and cell length here. I'm going to do a pretty similar concept to what we've done around the back of the other flats over this way. Running the pedestrian pathway just to give this courtyard a bit of actual purpose, you know, rather than just leaving it as dead green space, I think. And then I think we'll take that straight down to the road. Oh, hopefully it's come out of the grid snap there. Not needed. Fantastic. I also got a bus coming through here as well, haven't we? So why don't we add in a bus stop for the council estate? I also think a taxi depot on here might be quite nice as well, actually. We'll talk about industry in a second, because I do actually want to have a look at industry today. Yeah, so let's add the bus stops, and then this can stop here now. Should be quite cool for people to commute back and to work who live on this estate. And I'm really liking the way this is looking already, actually. Very UK. I really just like this whole end of town. It's really egging me on, if you will, enjoy the pun, for a full British build at some point. Which we will get to, I think. We will get to when either Kai or Egginburgh ends. Let's also feed some more of these pathways behind these houses over here as well. And let's also get all of these connected in We can just about connect into the same node there. That's very helpful. And then I'm not sure how far I want the pedestrianisation to run. It won't go everywhere, I don't think. But let's just have it go. I guess we can maybe curve it off this way. That's a national kind of high-speed road over there. Which is actually a good point to discuss that. Do we want this to remain kind of national high-speed road? Maybe we don't. I think we'll take it down into just regular 4-lane road, actually. At least up until that roundabout where it joins the faster road. That takes them back into Runbridge from here. Which is also a very British sounding name as well, isn't it, Runbridge? Cool, but this is already looking pretty sweet. This is exactly what I was wanting to create today. A proper kind of UK social housing estate. Very nice indeed. So yeah, speaking of that industry that I mentioned a second ago, I would love to have, a lot of the times you find, I guess in England as a general rule, rather than specifically council estates, but you can always find little bits of industry just tucked away in the most unusual corners. So I think I'd quite like to have a look at that for this area over here. So we're going to keep it quite simple. We're not building like a factory or anything out here. But let's just bring out some alleyway roads. And I'm really looking to kind of formulate them so they give us much more zonable space around here. In whatever configuration we find that in. Something like that should be quite nice. And then I will zone this, I think. I will zone this up. So let's do this one here. And let's fill in most larger spaces. I'm not hugely picky about what sort of form they take. And we can bring that one up there a little bit as well. And then once that grows in, we'll let the production chain decide what it wants to build. Once it is in, we can use the props and general designs around this kind of stuff to just do some detailing around it. Rather than just having it as zoning. Let's try to get some different sizes in here as well, maybe. Cool. Which should also position really nicely up against the rail. So I like that. With that discussed, I wouldn't mind some football like we talked about as well. Some animals over there as well. Fantastic. A quadruplet of deer. With very highlighted cheeks for some reason. Have they always been that colour? Not sure why. That's so noticeable all of a sudden. Maybe some lighting changes, perhaps. But yes, we talked about football pitches, didn't we? So let's have our soccer fields. Now, it actually fits and sits perfectly here, which I do like there. So I think we'll have that in. This road can now go into... Where do we want to send you? I think you can just come straight off down here, can't you? We could send another road out this way as well, actually. Not sure what you will hold just yet. Maybe we can have a look if we need some sort of services out here, garbage or whatnot at some point in the future. Position against the rail might be quite helpful out there. So let's grab another one and put this one down there and see if we can just push this away from the road a little bit. Don't mind that. Now I would like some sort of building really to function as a bit of an entrance way to exit into this little complex. Some of the ploppable service buildings I imagine might be most appropriate for this. And one of the attachments from the urban elementary school is actually quite a nice ploppable. I think we can possibly fuse this into a bit of an entrance, and the red brick on it as well will kind of also really blend it into the council estate, which I think I'll quite enjoy. So let's see if we can move these into a configuration we're happy with. Let's see, we'll have one probably about here. We'll have to do a little bit of surface work around the edge of them, but that's okay. I'm also going to set some heights here as well. Set everyone to the same height as the node. Looks like we need just a touch of terrain work. So we want to push that down to the same level. Everyone's on a level playing field, if you can enjoy the pun. Let's bring that up to the road, and then let's have a second one. Also, again, set to the same height. And can we discover how fusible these are? Perhaps when I go for the corner fuse in there. So almost as this is some kind of like youth centre as well, you know? Kind of like a government scheme to keep kids off the streets and out of gangs and whatnot. Often something you find around areas like this. Kind of youth centres is what we would call them in the UK at least. And that urban elementary school has kind of pretty much lent itself perfectly, hasn't it? I'm really happy with that, actually. Cool. I actually wonder if I want to set this building here to be the same height as one of them. Yeah, it obviously is connected here, but I think maybe if we just lose that texture, possibly that one as well. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to better bulldoze the textures off of them, I think. Let's terraform this as well. Let's do a little bit of softening. We'll do some trees and more expanded campus stuff around here. But I'm pretty happy with that. I think that looks pretty cool. Let's give it a car park too, of course. Let's do a regular ploppable one. We just go for a moderate car park next door, perhaps. Have that there. And then that gives us plenty of surface work to do. During our detailing time lapse, let's also snap to the side of the building and we'll keep this pedestrian pathway vibe we have going on. There we go. We even get a little bit of an embankment there, which I'm honestly not massively disgusted by. It's a little bit lumpy bumpy. If we could just refine some nodes a little bit, just bring it down a touch. I think I'd be a bit more on board with it then. It's an accidental embankment, but I think one that is quite welcome against the edge of the football pitch, actually. Cool. So we can have a football youth centre here just on the edge of the estate. This will be nice to expand with some surfaces and whatnot in spaces like that. But otherwise pretty convincing. I'm probably going to be on board with that. How's that industry doing? What do we get in? So interestingly enough, we've got a whole mix of stuff in here. Although a lot of it is available for rent, which makes no sense. We have some crude oil storage here. Don't mind that. That will rent out at some point. More crude oil storage, more storage. And then another unrented building here. So I'm not sure why that's happening. Is that a bug at the minute in the simulation? Because we have zoned industry here. That just says, yeah, we need to rent this out. So I'm not sure. Again, I know Edinburgh's kind of production economy is very fragile due to the fact we've placed multiple factories, which has really hampered the production chain demands. So always something to be aware of. Cool, so I'm happy with the housing here and plenty of pallets to expand. Let's have a look at some British services. So let's come into healthcare first of all. And I would love to place down the UK medical practice. This is a very kind of cool British asset. I think it's kind of maybe on the main road here is the player I want to go for. I don't mind having some more British themed assets on this road here as the approach into town. Very large train that, wasn't it? And then let's do some fire as well. Let's have our UK fire station next door. Do we just want that next door? I'm a little bit wary of just spamming service assets, but this is kind of working here. So I think we'll go with it. I think they almost want a road behind them as well, don't they? But yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Do we want to do... We don't really need that much medical care at the minute, do we? Crematoriums are alright, cemeteries are. And average health is 63%. Which doesn't seem great, does it? But there is a lot of availability, so... That's okay. I'm not actually sure how we bring up the average health. Maybe that's like the outdoor recreation stuff that improves their health. I'm not sure on that one. And then we have training facility. How are we doing for fire coverage? It's not too bad around here. There's already 3 fire stations this side of the road anyway. Or this side of the river, so we probably don't need to upgrade it. That's going to be okay. But it's one thing before we do move into our detailing time-lapse, is roundabouts, of course. Wouldn't be a British estate without a roundabout and some cul-de-sacs, would it? What happens if we cul-de-sac these parking roads? Just get a little bit shorter? Okay. Yeah, let's find a nice little spot for one of the new roundabouts I would love to use. Maybe the mosaic ones could be pretty cool. How about one there? We need to budge up our flats a little bit, but we have the room for that. Maybe where those bushes are encroaching, we can just trim those off. We'll add our own flowers and trees in. So you can always imagine like the local councils thought it's a good idea to put these more extravagant roundabouts in as a bit of a way to kind of cheer up the area, if you like. It's absolutely something a local council would do. Yeah, let's have another one in there. Could have one on the main road here as well. Let's do that one there as well. And possibly here. Although probably not. I think we'll leave that one. Maybe here is probably a better choice for that. With how about that one there? Bushes might encroach upon the rail. How are we doing for this rail bridge here? It does look very low, doesn't it? The cars can clear it all out. I think the trucks would probably struggle around here. But either way, I think we have the solid frame here for a little bit of detailing as we now come in to fill out all these little areas around here. I continue our repeated housing designs in the spaces that remain through this way and this way. Bit of detailing around our kind of youth centre. And then lots of trees and general prop work around our UK style housing estate as Yorkshire expands. And I think that's blended in pretty nicely there, hasn't it? If we were to get in the kind of more suburban UK district over here. And you can see the tower blocks in the distance. With the train as well. It's all very much coming together, isn't it? Very nice indeed. I like you can see that little bit of industry in there as well. Actually nearby to where my grandparents lived when I was a kid. I used to stay there. We had massive gas silos that actually blew up in the 90s, I think. I'm pretty sure the IRA bombed them. Which is terrifying, of course. But a little bit of cool egg history regardless. But either way, let's do some detailing and then we'll be right back. Alright guys, let's take a look around the great British housing estate, shall we? Which has turned out really nicely. I love the addition onto the English part of the map over here. Very cool and very reminiscent of the estate that we looked at in Glasgow for some inspiration. But either way, there's lots of surface work taking place in and around the flats just so they have flush concrete with the pathways where we want it. With some extra extensions through here as well. We are using a mix of actual residential, which hold households, and then the vanilla ploppables as well. So some of these buildings are props and some of them are residential. So it's a mix and match, which I'm finding is quite a nice, happy way to play. There's parks through here, bits of rock detailing flipped around the car park and around the back of the shops, alongside also adding in some more around this way to fill some extra space that we had. There is playgrounds over here, which are building playgrounds, so we should see some people visit them, alongside extended basketball court detailing, with some classic trolleys and trash, which is classic UK over here as well, which is quite nice, with some extended eateries, hot dog vans, more flats through this way with a bit of Japanese commercial, which I hope you all agree, blends in quite nicely with the British council estate, doesn't it? No companies arrived in this business yet, but they will eventually. And then we also have a little custom playground over here that has some of those smaller, more ploppable pocket parks that we've added to the updates recently. But they're turning out really nice little space for us, and with a bit of prop work in there as well. You can create some really cool spaces, especially in a council estate like this. I love the pedestrianisation through the estate as well. I love that it's not all roads through here. Definitely kind of a characteristic, I think, of English estates at least. Little gazebo parks tucked into some green space as well, alongside our repeated pattern design. Also flowing out this way. Some more repeated patterns, very kind of Soviet blocks through here, aren't they? But we do have some people arriving into these now. 3 households, not in that one yet. 3 in that one. So slowly over time they are filtering through. We did have some folk using the buses as well as a few people at the stop here. Waiting for that bus back into to Runbridge, which we can watch them arrive now here. Some people are going to get off. Yeah, one person got off there. Public transport starts to get a little bit used to this way. There you go. She's taking the bus to the doctors. That's very immersive, isn't it? Love to see that. Although she's taking the bus to the doctors to sit down, she's not actually going in for an appointment, which is fair enough. Down the main road, we've added in some angled parking roads with some plazas, benches, fountains, bins. With some more Japanese commercial assets, which are slowly filling up. With businesses, we've got cheap and random in there as well. And then waiting for some businesses to fill these guys up. As we head up the hill, we have another little industrial estate over here as well. I'm not sure what's really up with Edinburgh's economy at the minute. We have these zone buildings in, but no businesses are coming to rent them, despite the fact we have only industrial demand. So I'm going to take that as a sign that Edinburgh's RCI now has completely collapsed due to the multiple unique factories we have around the city. In that case, I will probably install either the RCI mod next episode so we can just force it to be whatever we want, or I will just move Egginburgh to a plopping only series, which is pretty much what we've been doing recently anyway, just to get the assets in that we want. I love the cargo trains and pretty much all the train traffic passing through this area looks super cool. More industry. Tucked in over here again, which has all been historicalized, fenced off, and whatnot. And then we'll head through the estate toward our sports complex, where we have added in some signage just to indicate what this place is. And kind of treating it as a bit of a youth centre, a bit of a sports centre. You can hire the pitches out here if you want. There's more kind of kickabout things around the back, vending machines, tables, planters near the car parking. Just a bit of general recreation space. The homeless are in goal, so I guess the homeless bug still hasn't been fixed despite the vast amount of low density housing that is available here. There's a great sightline here, isn't there, right? There's something so quintessentially British about tower blocks in the background of football pitches. I really like how this whole estate has turned out. A great inspiration to be found in Glasgow for what we looked at today, really cool. There's little bits of prop work tucked into the towers, where we added more playgrounds, car parking, and little bits of cut and fill key wall action in around some new towers, and then there's also a police station with some extended car prop work on the corner here as we emerge back out of the estate. But all in all, a really cool build. I think we've managed to nail that kind of British social housing estate vibe, with the assets just doing such a supreme job for us. And a massive shout out again to Rick 4000 and Mick Welshman for their work on the UK pack. Probably my favourite of them all. There's so much variation here, and I love kind of spending a whole build looking at a social housing estate. Otherwise, a massive shout out to our patrons that support the channel with a roll call to our golden eggs: Andrew Perez, Louis Adlam, O'Hay Casino, and Phoenix MD. If you want to get involved in that, links below to Instant Gaming and Patreon. And the best ways to support the channel, should you so wish. Don't forget to check out the Motherboard series on the channel that's currently running as well. Having a ton of fun playing Motherboards at the minute now. Update 4 is out, so check that out if you're looking for something else other than CS. Otherwise, Egginburgh continues to grow, and I'm very, very happy with it. We're definitely due a live stream here, so we'll probably be live in Egginburgh in the not too distant future, as I do have some jobs to do around the city, including across the river from here as well. Lower Inverness is a bit crap, so I'd like to rework some of the stuff we've done around there. Otherwise, please do enjoy today's cinematics, but I'll show up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.